Good morning from the Simply Free Little Talk. I know that it's a little different to see me in the daytime when you normally see me in the evening or at night. But I have a special interview today, and it is with one of our candidates for the Galveston City Mayor election, which is happening on tomorrow. So I have candidate Benjamin Herndon. One of our candidates for the Galveston City and he is here election, today to share some great information with all of us. And so, without further ado, welcome, Mr. Benjamin Herndon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Herndon, and I'm your candidate for Mayor of Galveston.
You heard it first here in Simply Free Little Talk. Well, actually, you've heard it before today, but I just like to say that. That was cute. Can you do that again?
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here as well. Benjamin really is a jolly individual that has a lot of knowledge. I love the insight that you have, that you want to share with the Galvestonians, that you want to make sure that we have a better understanding that there is always another way, like the old folks would say, to skin a cat. Mm-hmm. And you have some great ideas. I think that it's only befitting that you're here today to share those ideas.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here and to share them. I think it's time we get some fresh ideas in Galveston.
Okay.
I know we've all been wanting it for a while.
Yes, we have. And today is your opportunity to shine. It's your opportunity to share some of the things that you've previously shared with me in our several conversations. And yesterday I had the great pleasure of actually sitting with him for breakfast. We both were wanting our coffee.
We both admitted to each other, and I will tell all of you, I am a bona fide caffeine addict. I cannot make it through the day without coffee. In fact, after this, I'm probably going to go get another one just so I can make it through.
Okay, I love that. So we were at okay, I want to make sure, because Galveston Island Tourist Summit on yesterday. Mm-hmm. And that was very informative. And so we can also, I know that that's your heartbeat. You want citizens to know of all of the amenities that are really right here in Galveston, Texas.
That's right. My whole platform's about Galveston for Galvestonians. Yes. And part of what that means for tourism, and I was talking with a couple of the guest speakers about this, is I want us to rebrand the island to where we embrace our culture and our heritage and who we are. That's what people come here for. Mm-hmm. That's what we're selling. That's what people love. They love that Galveston is a place where you can walk down the street and someone will talk to you for an hour about nothing. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the country anymore. We've managed to keep communities so alive here, and that's what people love about us.
Wow.
And that's what I was talking to a couple of the experts there that they invited as guest speakers. How do we make sure that we can still brand that, sell that, have that be our industry, but not lose ourselves?
But not lose that. Yes. Exactly. I love that. I like that you really are for the people, and that you have a desire for us to understand what is really available again. So you have some ideas you share with me. Can I read them off to the audience? Perfect.
Please.
So you have increasing funds toward our community. Can you share with us that thought on increasing funds for our community?
So what we have done for the last 10 years, I've seen, is we focus all of our development money on the seawall right where it's 25th, or the seawall in front of the San Luis, and a bit on the Strand. I don't see it in our neighborhoods very much. Okay. I mean, I know they're starting to fix the potholes, and they do tear up the streets for a good long while, but I want us to start putting, when we do a beautification effort, when we do an infrastructure effort, we need to do it in our neighborhoods first.
Yes.
Because we're the ones who are here all the time. And the people who come to visit us, they don't just stay in hotels on 25th Street and Seawall anymore. They're staying in vacation rentals and stuff. They're out there in the streets with us. They're living amongst us.
Yes, they're living amongst us in the neighborhoods. Exactly. In the residential locations here in Galveston. Mm-hmm. Can we just state that you are a BOI?
Oh, yeah. I am indigenous fauna.
He's an indigenous, yes. Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it the way he states that. And so Galveston has a special place for you. You have a special love for Galveston.
It's my home. It's where I'm from. It's where my mom's from. My family came here and settled in Galveston back in, I think, I'll never know because my mother and my aunts won't tell me how old they are. Sometime in the past,
I like that.
they settled here from Mexico, and we've been here ever since.
Wow. So one of the interesting things, and we're going to go back to the other point that you made to me that I want to share, and you can also elaborate, like you mentioned about the community. You're really, your heartbeat is for the community, and you see the need. You see because you personally experience it. Can
I
you
am the
share?
community.
Is the community. And so you go to the local Randalls and
Mhm.
Kroger's and Walmart. And so that brings me to another interesting point. You're in tune with what? What happens here in Galveston?
Mhm. Oh, you mean that we don't have any public transit?
Yes. Yes. I was waiting on you to say it.
Oh, so right now I'm living at 8th and Seawall, and I have to walk. There is a bus stop right in front of
Mhm.
my apartment. It sometimes has a bus. I don't know
Yes.
when it has a bus, but I look at it often and I go, I know there's a bus stop there. I
You
know it
know
must
there's a
be
bus.
something.
Oh my.
But the reliable bus is about a mile and a half walk from where I'm at, and I might
Mm.
as well walk the extra 5 blocks to get to the Walmart.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I don't know why we've made a very convoluted transit system
Mm.
that we who live here don't get to use at all. And beyond the
Mm.
seawall, there's nothing. There's nothing past the seawall.
My
And
Lord.
it's a straight line. I don't understand why we can't just have a bus that goes straight down Seawall, straight down Broadway, straight down
Mm.
Harborside, and then maybe do one on the one ways or on one of the roads adjacent to the one ways, and then do it down 45th, 25th, 61st, and access to the university. That way, we're all within 10 blocks of a bus stop and run them every 15 minutes because if it doesn't come every 15 minutes, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to wait 30 minutes on a bus.
Mm.
And make sure they all go to the grocery stores because that's mostly where we all go is we're either going to Walmart, Randall's, Kroger, or Arlen's.
Yes, and because we need the transportation, we need access to transportation. We have senior citizens here. We have retirees who's actually transplanted here from other states, and
Mhm.
they need transportation.
And we have working people who need to get to work.
That's
I mean,
right,
it's a
our
long
working
walk
community.
across this island. I've done it plenty of times.
Ooh, yeah, but as we get older, that walk from one end to the island is not so exciting when we were in our teens. And
Hmm.
so you have ideas concerning biking, walking, and even you mentioned the bus line, but you have an idea for the bus line. Are you able to share that
Yeah,
information with us?
yeah. So I was talking with one of the companies at the tourism summit, and I've had this idea, but this is the first company I got to talk to, and I want to talk to a few
Mm.
others. So there's this thing they do in a lot of the cities in the Northeast called Lime, and it's like a rent a bike or rent a scooter, and you have an app, and you can either do like a $30 a month subscription or pay like a $2 fee. So I
Yes.
was talking to this guy for a way for the city to work with them to set up. We'll have electric buses. You would have electric buses, bikes, scooters, skateboards, and mopeds that'll just be like scattered all around the island. They can do golf carts too, and we could stylize them in that kind of old timey way, like that one company does. And we could even partner with people here in Galveston to try and spurn the local business. And what we can do is make it to where people on low income or fixed income can have free access to it, and the rest of us, we pay $2 to go right here and there, or we
Mm.
pay the 30-month subscription. And with that, you'd get a bus, a bike, a skateboard, or whatever we can get them to put down here on the island, and it'll take you from location to location, and they'll all be electric.
That's very interesting. And it's actually exciting because when I think about, well, I'm off today, let me just have a little fun. Or if I want to leave my vehicle and I can rent the electric, cars, or I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do the skateboard though. but I'm
I
sure
wouldn't
our
either.
tourists would enjoy that though. Or the kids, the local, youth
Mm-hmm.
here. That would be a great for them. But more importantly, out of everything you stated, I love collaboration. And I love the fact that your heart is also for the citizens who are entrepreneurs here. So you said
Mm-hmm.
to partnership, let's find a
Mm-hmm.
way to partnership to include them, so you're not excluding anyone. You actually have a plan to include everyone in this.
So the big thing I was talking to this guy about is for maintenance in particular. So say you pop a flat tire on the bike, they may get them from like a central company. So that way it's cheaper for them to get the bike, but the bike repairs will have to be local. And if you're using this stuff as public transit all the time, that's going to be in and out maintenance money all the time.
Absolutely it would. Yes, yes. So we get a local company to actually do our repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we're keeping the funding here. Okay,
That's
that brings me to yes, I love it, because you also have a plan for sharing the tax burden with the tourists for the free parking for worldwide throughout the city for the
That's right.
citizens. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I want Galveston citizens. I've been mad about this since they did it, so I'll be honest. When they started making us pay for parking, I was like, don't we already pay property taxes and sales taxes and fees? Now you want us to pay to park next to our house too? We have
Wow.
to go get
Yes.
a parking permit just to have a citizen parking permit. It's like, guys, can you got $300 million in the city? Do you really need more?
Wow.
Why not
That
get
is
it from
really
us? We're giving
interesting.
you a lot here.
Yes, you're actually stating a fact that many people are not aware of. So, because I know that you're kind of in tune with everything, so I'm trying to find everything in order. But there is a question I want to address, and I'm sure you have an answer for this. What are the plans for the homeless population?
I got asked this question at the Galveston Island Democrats actually, and it's a really hard one to answer. You can't address it with one thing.
Absolutely.
The city doesn't seem to have a current plan, from what I gather. Uh, it would take a lot of increased funding for. You have to break up the different types of homeless categories.
Mhm.
And the way I would address it myself first is by tackling housing in general for the working class. So I gave them a story, which I didn't think was shocking, but it was evidently shocking to the audience. I've had a couple of friends of mine who've been couch surfers over the years, which means they're effectively homeless, but they're just
Okay.
living from friend to friend's couch for a while until
Wow.
they could get the money to afford an apartment again. And these were people who worked with me when I was a bartender or who worked with me at the banquet company, back when I was in my early 20s. And I thought of that as sort of a normal thing. But, when I think about it now as an adult, I'm like, well, you're a working individual who's working nonstop and you can't afford your apartment because you missed a little bit of rent. And now you're
Yes.
out on the street living with your friends. And I think the way we can tackle most effectively and right away is getting working class housing on the island. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I've got a few ideas. I've talked with a few
Yes.
developers about it. And there might be a scheme of like us guaranteeing a loan for a developer, not paying, but just acting as a guarantor for a loan for a development company.
Okay.
And that way they can get a low interest rate to build housing units. Because my goal for the island is I want us to have $1,000 a month, 1 bedroom, 1 baths, and $2,000 a month, 3 bedroom, 2 bath rental units. I can't get us all houses anymore. There's not enough space on the island.
Yes.
I can get us apartments that you can live in and have a family in. That'll be nice mid-rises. I want to keep it stylistic guidelines like the Strand. So the area behind the Railroad Museum is where I'm thinking about, where there are those vacant
Okay.
lots.
It is.
I think if we rezone that to where we can have mid-rise residentials, we'll make sure they have to include parking. So it'll be Texas Donut style, which is where you have parking in the center of it. And then
Yes.
you build businesses on the first floor. And then you have 5 stories or 4 stories of apartments above it. And we'll do a style guideline so it has to still look like the Strand so we don't lose our Galveston feel.
I love
And
that.
then we can build those. And for each acre, most architectural firms say each acre on that model can create 100 units. So
It's like a great doable plan.
yeah, I've done some research onto this.
I hear it. I actually hear the plan, and I'm visualizing it as you're speaking. So let's just see. And I know that you also are someone, let me interject this. I know that you're also someone who looks at the cost of things. So, and you also look at the profitable side of it as well. And you often mention business owners.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that everything I do can make money for people. Like
Mm.
the way I view my general philosophy of government is it is a facilitator for other parties to take care of what the government can't do. The government can identify a problem, can see it, and can put everyone down at one table and say, "You're at this table." But the government cannot fix things. It cannot do things. It cannot run anything. It doesn't have the people or the specialists for that. Government tends to attract people who are very good at politicking and governmenting, which is putting people together to figure out what a problem is and can you solve this problem and now go solve this problem. And I
Okay.
think that's the way we should do things. We work with business. We work with big, small, whoever it is. We identify a problem and we say, this is what the people need. Let's get all you guys at the table and figure out how we can all benefit from this and solve this
Um,
problem. Like housing. Let's put all of you guys down, all the apartment owners here on the island, a
yes.
big developer, an architectural firm, and let's sit down and say, we need this. How
Yes.
do we make this work?
How do we make it work? Wow. Mm. So, with that being stated, and you mentioned government, you
Mhm.
have experience working for the government.
I do. I was once the state of Texas. I was but a cog in the grand machine that is our glorious state.
How glorious that I love it. So I love that you're making it comical, but at the same time you actually put in some time. This is why you're a researcher and that you have a desire for the people because you do know that it's doable. It
Yeah,
can happen if we make it happen.
yeah, exactly. I worked in public affairs at the Texas Center for Superconductivity. Uh, I've worked in public affairs as a consultant for a couple years, and then I went to DC and did a mentorship program where I got to meet a lot of people that pull. I don't know if I'd call them they're levers of power, but they're mostly levers of money.
Okay, okay.
And what I found out working with a lot of them and just exploring the capital, there's a lot of money out there that we can get from the Fed to help us on this local.
Wow, I'm sure a
Like,
lot of people like hearing that.
yeah, no, I mean, we got to go for it. Lobbying the Fed to get money. It's our money anyway. It's just sitting up there in DC waiting for us to go get it.
Mm. Well, that's interesting. And I know that that's enlightened some people. So this has led you to desire to submit your application, say, I want to run as a candidate for the mayor of the city of Galveston, because not only do I have experience, I have some knowledge of how the governmental system works, how Galveston operates at this time, and you have some great ideas. And I like that your campaign says, Forward Galveston.
That's what I'm about. I'm a youngin. I'm trying to take us forward. I think
Yeah.
we, I think we need to shake Galveston, not shake it up. I think we're good as we are, but we need to start moving in a direction going forward.
Yeah.
We need new ideas. We need a better digital in it. We need a website, guys.
Okay.
If we can walk away with something, let's at least get a good website on this for the island.
Yeah. See, what I love again is you're not just thinking of the tourists because a lot of times we hear we're beautifying the island for the tourists, and you even stated yourself. You said that our funding at this time appears to be going toward Broadway, the Strand area, and some of the seawall. But
Hmm.
you said the residential areas, and I like that you mentioned when the tourists do come, where are they residing?
They live in short-term rentals now.
Yes, in residential areas.
Exactly.
So we
I
need
mean,
to,
what is the charm of Galveston really? It's when you walk
yes,
down like name any street on the east end and you just walk down the street and you see all the old houses. It's everybody's out there, everyone's friendly. That's what Galveston is. That's what creates the vibe that people buy into. That's what island time and island life is. It's all these beautiful streets and us lovely people.
okay. And you also mentioned earlier to me about affordable housing. that's a challenge that you notice that we do not have affordable housing here on the island. I know you gave us a wonderful plan for the homeless population
Mm-hmm.
and even gave a great location. And like I said, you had me visualizing
Well,
that. So
well,
share
I
about
was
what can we do with affordable housing?
well, I was actually thinking of that as a semi solution for homelessness. Is that as affordable housing for the working
Yes.
class?
Okay.
So I think of those as they're a commingled issue because the
Mhm.
homeless are sometimes it's people who are couch surfers, sometimes it's people who are just down on their luck and stranded on the island, which is
Yeah.
another thing I want to create a solution for. And I did talk to the bus guys about this too. And it's a dream of mine. I want us to operate a bus that goes off the island and stops at all the metro transit centers because there's no way off this island. I have given I think 4 or 5 homeless people a ride to just Leak City because they can't get over
Wow.
the causeway. You'll get a ticket if you try and cross the causeway on foot.
Absolutely. That is
And it's
illegal.
like they're just
Well,
stranded
as well.
here. And they're just stranded here. And some of them weren't even homeless. They're just like, I lost all my stuff on the beach and now I'm just stuck here. So I guess this is my life now.
Oh no.
And it's like, I can give you a lift to Lake City. Thank you. And
Well,
we don't have a way. We don't even have a sidewalk on the causeway, which, trust me, I will try to lobby TxDOT and the Fed to
mhm.
get us a sidewalk because there's enough space on that freeway for a sidewalk. And then we can actually walk across it, which I think would be pretty on its own, but it will also offer people a way to get on and off the island.
So you said something that I want to piggyback on as far as the funding that is actually available that
Mm-hmm.
we can request from Galveston, from Washington, D.C., since you were actually physically there working. You said you did an internship there. So why would you, and I know you can't give us their opinions, but just kind of get us to understand that there's funding available. So what would be the delay in applying for this funding?
It's just about expanding the grants office and applying for more grants
Okay.
with the city. Like in my opinion, the best investment you can make in any nonprofit or public sector division is grants because you're basically investing in
Mhm.
fundraising at that point.
Yes.
It is a job that pays for itself. And if it doesn't pay for itself, you're not doing a good job. So you need to be replaced and we'll get someone who will pay for themselves.
Okay.
Because as an example, a friend of mine at UTMB just pulled in, I think, like a $30 million grant, and it's like, well, I think you just paid for your job.
Well,
Your time's
that's
over.
great. That's a good thing. So there
Exactly.
is funding available that we can allocate toward other areas that you mentioned that are either
hmm
undeveloped here in Galveston.
hmm
What about our parks and recreational areas?
So I'm not familiar with those grants myself. I know they
Mhm.
exist. I'm not familiar with them. I would
Okay.
acquaint myself with them because I think so. Part of my dream for investing in our communities is I
Yeah,
remember how we used to have like corner stores and stuff in every neighborhood.
absolutely. Yes.
And I've talked with a couple of small business owners, some who own corner stores, and they say it's not going to make money anymore. And I'm like, well, that's true, probably. It's a dream, but what we can still have is that center place where people come and congregate. And we
Yes.
can set up like little commercial zones that are just like a block in each neighborhood and have it to where you can have a coffee shop there. You can have a little parkette and we can have little spaces where we can all walk to and like and enjoy ourselves again instead of just having it all concentrated in on 61st and Stewart and the Strand. Let's try and disperse it a little bit. Have little sections.
Okay. I'm actually responding to some individuals that have questions. Mr. Danny Thomas wanted to know were you taking questions? I said yes, he's been addressing them.
Yeah, sure.
But you have a question here that says, "How do you feel about what is on the ballot for GISD?"
I think it's expensive, but we do need to refurbish the school.
Mm.
We do. It is old. It was old when I was there, and that was
It's
10
over
years
here.
ago. And I went there briefly to look at a teaching job. I think during the year of the pandemic,
Okay.
and It didn't look like much had changed since I was there at Ball
Oh
High.
wow, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all.
So,
So
so
here's
I'm
the deal.
supportive of it, but I don't know if we need a whole new high school myself.
Yes,
I'm deferring to them because I'm sure they did their research and I'm sure they did their work. So I'm going to defer to them about that, and I may have some complaints about the procedure they're going to go through with it.
yes.
But in general, we need the funding for a bit to at least update Ball High.
Well,
And
you
if we
actually
get more,
mentioned there's funding available in Washington, so why not follow the process and procedures that we need to get that funding here to Galveston and get all of our schools remodeled and updated? Because the next comment was that all the schools need it.
yeah, no, that's true. That
Yes,
is true. That's actually not a bad idea. I'd love to talk with GISD and see about looking for grant funding opportunities or partnering. What we could even do is we could probably find some private groups that might be interested in partnering with us. Like
okay.
since Zoom became like a big thing with education, and this is like even like how I'm partnering with this tech bike guy about how we can fix public transit here on the island.
Mhm.
I am sure there are companies out there now that would love to have a chance to work with a small city government to test out how can we refurbish and update your school using some of our technology and our systems, just as an example. And we could get money from that to, maybe get new computers, get new facilities, brush things up. And it gives them the chance to say, hey, here's our like management system. It works real well. We can now go sell this to other districts, and it gets us free stuff.
Okay. Question for you that was here in the comment section. And it said, what happened to the projects, the lower income housing that we had available throughout the city that is non-existing now?
We do have some new projects that they're putting up over near, I can't remember the name of the streets. It's south of Broadway, uh,
Is it
near
Sealy?
Mount near Mount Olive. Near
Is
Mount
it
Olive.
Sealy?
Hmm?
Sealy or Ball Street? One
Yeah,
of
yeah,
those
yeah,
areas?
yeah. Over there, they've been putting up some new projects over there. They're the little like the white houses that are like duplexes that are all really close to each other next to the old water pumping station. So those are new subsidized housing. Some of the brick houses in the Strand are also subsidized housing. I'm not sure how they run it now. They've changed the
Yes,
system.
that's interesting.
Yeah, no, they've changed the system a lot since
Okay.
the early 2000s. I'm not familiar with it. I know they changed to where the houses are supposed to be like a self keep up model. So you do pay a type of rent, and you have to have like a maintenance requirement or something. I don't know this. I'm not familiar with the specifics of it, but I know we have built new housing that's subsidized. I don't know if it's enough,
Mm-hmm.
especially considering I could probably use subsidized housing at this point in my life, and I make way too much money to say that. But
But you've experienced others who are really in a dire need for a change for affordable housing in Galveston.
oh yeah, no, like most of my colleagues, I don't know how they afford rent. Honestly,
Mm,
I barely understand how I afford rent. Even my friends who make $60,000 a year, they barely afford rent, and I'm like,
mm.
in the world of the working class, you're rich.
Wow, yes. So here's what I want to recap on. You spoke to us and gave us a great plan for not so well, you said it's a dual plan for affordable housing as well
Mhm.
as the homeless population, and you have a designated area. So I like the fact that you mentioned that. You also mentioned that we need to address the issues with the non-existent or little to no type of bus line here for the citizens of Galveston. And you mentioned about biking, walking.
Mhm.
What do you want to elaborate on the biking and the walking that you know
So,
that needs to change?
so my idea is, and this is one of the things for investing in our neighborhoods. I want us to have more bike lanes, and I wanted to. So the whole island, in my opinion, is very bikeable.
Mhm.
I like riding my bike, but we don't really have any protected bike spaces. And there's this model they do in Brasilia that, from my understanding, is super cheap to do. And so we currently park like right next to the sidewalk. You just put like little plastic disposable markers or something that give you like a little bit of space between the sidewalk and where your car parks. And then you have a sidewalk and a bike lane that's protected by the cars. And that's
Okay.
what they do in Brasilia, which is the capital of Brazil. And it's worked for them for decades. So I think we could try that. And if not, we can put paint up on the streets at least to where we'll have bike lanes, and that's not that expensive.
Okay. Well, with that being stated, you're giving us ideas that we could look at and vote on, and that's what we're going to do on tomorrow. Galveston, come
Right.
out, come out, come out. We have amazing candidates, and it happens to be one that has given us his views, and we thank you for the time that you've given to us. Is there anything else you want to share with us? Because you yourself, you said your parents came here from another country, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, my mother did. My father
Your
came
mother
here
did.
from Ohio.
Yes,
My
yes,
mother's
yes.
family. My father's family came from Ohio,
Okay. So,
which
but
is another
best of
country. It's
both
not.
worlds right here in Galveston. Yes. So, kind of recap some things that you would like the general public of Galveston to know.
Hmm. Well, get out and vote tomorrow because it's the last day to vote, and
Yes.
vote Herndon. Uh,
Oh, I love it.
I'd really like it if we get out and get involved more. I think that's what we really need to see more here. And I'm a little shocked about it myself that I'm one of the few, I am the youngest,
Mhm.
but I'm definitely one of the few younger people to be involved in the city government.
Yeah.
And I think we really need a lot of fresh air just within all the mechanisms of our government, which is no, I'm not saying anything negative about the people there. I think they've done a good job, as
Mhm.
good as they can do. They work hard, but there just isn't a lot of new blood or new interest or anyone getting engaged with the city. And growing up here, we all complain about it. Like it's part of why I'm running because I'm tired of listening to everybody complain about it. So I'm going to go out and try and fix the things we complain about. But I
I
think that's
commend you for that. You
well,
recognize the need and you've done research and you have solutions. I love the plans that you share with us today for
yeah.
a workable solution and affordable solutions.
Hmm. And thank you. I appreciate it. And if there's anything you guys want me to think about or look at, or you have an idea, please. I am not like I will decide something, but I want to make a decision after listening to as
Yes.
many people as I can because I'm not a transportation engineer. I'm not a housing developer. I want to talk to the people who do the work, who know how it works, so I can hear and
Mhm.
get from you guys your expertise. And then I want to hear from everybody else to hear what it is you want. Because my job is just to be the communicator. I am the node
Absolutely.
that takes this and this and puts them together to give us a solution.
Hmm. Well, thank you once again, candidate for Galveston, Texas. He's running for mayor. He is in the election on tomorrow. We are to get out. What is the times?
It is, I believe, from 7 to 7 tomorrow.
7 to 7 on a Saturday here in Galveston that you can go make an educated decision. We've heard today great ideas, which is also, I love the collaboration piece. I love the collaboration piece because as an entrepreneur, I would love to know that my city government cares enough about involving me.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's the way that government needs to be. I think the old mentality of you're either in or you're out is
Yes.
should be out.
Okay, should be. So your message actually is forward Galveston. Let's move
That's
forward.
right.
Let's bring some fresh ideas to Galveston. Let's consider everyone because there were comments concerning racism in Galveston, and you actually, well, you've
I,
actually addressed how to unify us as well. So, would you like to share something on even more ideas that you have in that regards?
I think I have a lot of thoughts, but none that I should say in a public forum. But I think by focusing on our heritage and our culture as who we
Mhm.
are and as what
It's
Galveston
who
is, and
we are.
we come from a lot of different places. I
Absolutely.
mean, this place had this is where Juneteenth happened.
Come on, speak about that.
So this is the thing that drives me crazy. We're just now starting to talk about a Juneteenth festival, which I'm glad we are. I'm glad we're putting something together this year. But it's like, so it became a national holiday. We knew it was going to become a national holiday, and Houston takes the festival. We're Juneteenth. We are Juneteenth. And
I love that. I love that you said that. Yes.
I'm like, this should be like Mardi Gras. This should be pre-planned a year in advance as a thing that happens every year. Because Mardi Gras we share with New Orleans. Juneteenth, that's just Galveston.
And let me share this with you. Miss LaWanda Ward is very active and has been planning for more than a year. She's literally in the planning season right now of making sure that everything is just right from when she started last year for this big national. So we're looking forward to having her as well. We're talking, and we want to build up this particular platform for that because it is national. And Galveston, like you said, we are Juneteenth, and it needs to be celebrated in that fashion. So I'm glad you stated that. People need to hear that you even know that that's something that we need to recognize and bring unity here.
It needs to be a huge push within the city branding itself to just be like, we're the place. This is where it happened.
This is just where it happened, right here. Right. So thank you so much. Yes, thank you for coming on Simply Free Little Talk and giving us an opportunity, giving Galvestonians a good earful today of hearing what your views are. I love the plans that you mentioned. I pray that someone will share this video, share it, discuss it, because he's given some great plans that maybe as citizens, you've also encouraged us to come out and be more active.
Please,
so we can know what's going on.
That's right.
We have a voice. We have a voice. And thank you for reminding us that we have a voice and that you are a candidate that's willing to hear us as well. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me. Go vote. Go scream.
Go and vote. Go and vote. Voting is tomorrow, guys, Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I just want to sign off with you present with me so you can go ahead and tell the people of Galveston, come out and vote 7 to 7 tomorrow, and that they can play back the video and they can hear all of your wonderful ideas for Galveston.
All right. Please like and share and make sure you go vote Herndon tomorrow. I'll see all of you.
Have a good one. This is Free Little, your host of Simply Free Little Talk. Thank you once again. Our wonderful candidate was here today to tell his story. So come back, listen later, go back over the things that he said, and hey, make your decision on tomorrow. Have a good one. Be blessed.